Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Dhani.
And I'm John.
And this is Watching My Stories.
Did you forget?
I did.
Wow.
The word welcome came into my head and I couldn't.
Of all the cue cards I thought we didn't need, it was the title. Oh, well.
Yeah. Anyway, a few things to talk about this week. A few new shows, of course, as well. And then we did our random selection this morning using the guide on the TV. And we decided to look at Michael Douglas in the Actors Corner. So that's going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, lots of stuff to choose from now.
Yeah. Okay, so the first movie, really the only movie this week I have to talk about, is Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Okay.
So this is, huh?
I did not see this with
That's
you.
right. You did not.
No.
Did you ever see the first one?
I did not.
Yeah. That's not surprising. Did you ever see the original Sleeping Beauty?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If I did, I didn't retain a thing.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Because when we go to Disney and you're just, and, you know, I'm like, is it Sleeping Beauty's castle? And you're just kind of like,
Well, that's my standard response for a lot of stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't remember the Sleeping Beauty cartoon so much. I remember the fairies, and I always remembered that Maleficent scared the crap out of me.
Sure.
So I can't really talk to that too much, but the movie with Angelina Jolie, the first one, I really loved. It was really pretty, and I loved the twist of Maleficent because they kind of made her very caring, and they kind of changed who she was. A
villain with a conscience?
Well, not really. I mean, she her heart was broken. The king had broken her heart, which is why she went and put a curse on Aurora. So they gave us a reason as to why she did it, and the king had also stolen her wings. So it was really, you know, you kind of were like, yeah, curse that child. You know what I mean? And then
that's just rude.
Yeah, and then it was awful actually. Like Angelina has a scream that in that movie, the one where she played Daniel Pearl's wife.
Okay.
What was the name of that? I love that movie, but she lets out a scream in that movie. Right now, I'm going to tear up because it's when she finds out that Daniel's been killed. She does let out the scream that is just bone chilling, and it's so full of pain and so full of despair and anguish. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, but I love it. I love it so much. She does the same scream in Maleficent when she wakes up and her wings have been stolen. Not only because she thinks she's in love with this man, but he put her to sleep and then took her wings, and she wakes up and discovers all of this has happened, and she lets out that scream again, and it just like takes me right back to that other movie. But anyway, she just has a great anguished scream.
Okay.
So anyway,
duly noted.
Yeah. So anyway, so she lifts she actually doesn't lift the curse on Aurora in the first movie. She breaks the curse with giving her a kiss of true love's kiss. And so it's this whole twist on what we ever thought the relationship between Aurora and Maleficent was.
Okay.
So in the second one, we are kind of, you know, we're just starting a little bit later. Aurora is the queen of the Moors, which Angelina makes her, or Maleficent makes her in the end of the second or the first movie. And the prince shows up and asks Aurora to marry her, and so there's this wedding. And Michelle Pfeiffer is the prince's mom. And you can tell right from the start she doesn't like Aurora or Maleficent, doesn't want anything to do with them. And that's kind of the whole basis of this is
in-laws.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Is
no,
her going.
Just to be clear, I got lucky because I love my in-laws.
Nice catch. Because he knows my mom's listening.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Love you, Peggy.
So yeah, so that's kind of it, is just then there's this battle. It's a battle between Maleficent and this king and queen, and can the marriage happen? And Aurora's kind of stuck in the middle because she loves Maleficent, but now Michelle Pfeiffer has kind of tricked her into thinking that Maleficent's bad and all this sort of stuff. At the same time, though, Chiwetel Ejiofor shows up and rescues Maleficent at one point, takes her up into the clouds, and like there's all these other fairies that are just like Maleficent. And he tells this whole story of these fairies and how they used to rule the world, and now what they've, been, because they're not allergic to iron. They can't, iron kills them. So swords and all that sort of stuff.
That's a pretty severe
So
allergy.
humans have taken over. Go ahead.
Okay, so Maleficent is a fairy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And is she Aurora's mother?
No.
Okay.
Godmother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the fairy godmother.
Well, not really. I mean, she, again, she put a curse on her, and then she just ended up kind of keeping an eye on her as she was growing up, and then they developed a relationship in this version.
So she's
and
a
so then,
stalker.
Right.
Okay.
So we also find out that Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie, we find out that she was the one who changed the story to make Maleficent this evil person, and that she cursed Aurora, and she changed the ending to never make Maleficent be the one to lift the curse. So that's what made Maleficent into this like evil figure, which was interesting. Anyway,
Okay,
I don't want to get into all that, but
sure.
The point is, so then there's all these fairies, and then it's kind of like Maleficent's like, oh well, I have to now be with my people, and I'm gonna leave, the Moors, and no one wants me there anyways, and all this sort of stuff. Then it's a big battle, and blah blah blah. Here's my thing: it wasn't as good as the first one.
Huh?
There were definite parts that I enjoyed, but I watched this strictly for Angelina, and I felt like. And I could be wrong, but it felt like she had 10 lines. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure she had more, but it felt like I wasn't being given enough of her.
Right.
Even though she was in it quite a bit, but it still just didn't feel like enough. You know what I mean? Because in the first one, she was just very kind of charming, kind of funny, and I felt like a lot of that was gone. Now, it was a lot darker, but yeah, so that was my
So
big
maybe you
thing.
weren't satisfied with the way she was featured.
Yeah, it just, I wanted more of her. So, yeah, so I enjoyed it. Will I watch it as much as I watched the first one? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see when it comes on and see how attracted I am to it.
Okay.
It just didn't feel like it had as much heart as the first one did.
Right. Okay.
So, and it's 2 hours. It could have easily been an hour and a half. It definitely dragged in some parts. And I was kind of like, oh my God, how long is this thing going to go on?
Right.
So it could have been cut for quite a bit, but and I can't imagine having kids sitting through it for 2 hours. I think that would be really tough too.
Is it? I mean, are these kids' movies? Are these?
Yeah.
I understand they're fairy tales or whatever, but is this movie really for kids? I mean, is there stuff to hold a kid's attention?
Do they get all of it? Probably not. But
Do they get any of it?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know.
All right.
Kids think.
Well, I just seeing the trailers, I would think these are really adult spins on fairy tales, and they're not for kids.
I would. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could say the same thing for Frozen. Like, do they really understand
Frozen's
what's
animated.
happening there? That's okay. So a kid can just watch an animated movie and it doesn't matter.
It's kind of ingrained in our systems now, which was the trouble with the Simpsons when it first came on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I think just because something's animated doesn't mean the kids get it.
I agree, but they're
So
gonna.
what's the difference between live action?
Yeah. Okay. What? Yeah. I've already lost this battle, so no,
whatever.
we can move on.
Okay, moving on. Now moving to TV. A series ended. Called Why Women Kill. It's on.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. That's just okay.
It's on CBS All Access, so you have to pay to watch this show. Which is fine. And I'm not canceling because Picard starts soon on CBS All Access, so we have to watch that. So this was Mark Cherry's new show. He created Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
It felt like an interesting concept in the beginning. There was one house in Pasadena featured, and it looks at a couple who lived in the house in the 60s, a couple who lived in the house in the 80s, and a couple who lives in the house today. And the 60s couple is Jennifer Goodwin and Sam Jaeger. He's on Parenthood. And
don't know him. That's okay.
Yeah. And then the 80s couple is Lucy Liu and Jack Davenport. Edward. Edward. And the couple today is, what is his name? Reed Scott from Veep.
Oh, okay.
And Kirby Howell Baptiste. She's
Whoa.
she's on Good Place. Cheaties.
Oh, her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get involved with Alexandra Daddario. So in a throuple. So anyway, so it's called Why Women Kill. It's, you know, in the very first episode, you're kind of introduced to these couples, and you start to see the rift in each relationship, and so you go, oh well, okay, that's why that woman's gonna kill. You know what I mean? And then it goes on for like 10 episodes, and pretty much it's the same reason you thought in the first episode. Now there were a few little changes throughout the series that maybe you're like, oh well, maybe it's that person that's going to kill that person or something like that. Here's my thing. I think this would have been cute as a movie. 10 episodes was a long time to get there. It was too long.
Well, unless there's false advertising, you know what happens in the end, right?
Like I said, there were twists during the time, and you thought it was going to change. And for the most part, you know, the way things went down was very different than I would have thought from the beginning. But it could have all been in a 2-hour movie, and been just fine.
So you knew the destination.
I didn't learn enough of all of these characters to warrant 10 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
I would have been just as satisfied in a 2-hour movie.
Yep.
And not gone, I wish I had known that person better. Like, they were very kind of flat characters, even though it seems like they were very interesting. Lucy Liu, so in the 60s, you know, it was the guy was cheating on her. But then there were twists where we had learned that she had a kid that had died and it was her fault. Finally, by the end, it turned out it was actually, he had a mistress in the house and it was her fault and all this sort of stuff. So it got a little interesting, but it took probably, I mean, really, it like if you could have taken the first episode and the 10th episode and put those together, that would have been just fine.
Yeah.
It just took too long. The 80s couple, Lucy Liu, she finds out that her husband is gay. At first she's angry, and then she's like, well, let's just stick it out, you know, and you do your thing. And she found a lover who's 18 years old, and they're just like, they're best friends, and her husband just stay best friends, and it's wonderful. And then he actually gets AIDS, and that turns out to be very sad. And then the couple today with the throuple, turns out Alexandra Daddario's character is kind of crazy, and a whole bunch of stuff comes from that. So, you know, it's just like, it was a good concept. It took too long to get there.
Yeah,
So
okay.
anyway, it's one of those that, like, I still watched every week when I knew it had come out. And so there's something there to that. And I think that's because of the cast. I really like everyone in this cast.
Yeah.
So for me, it was worth it to watch them, but I do think they were really underused as well.
Okay.
So anyway, Mark Cherry, I only watched the first season of Desperate Housewives, then it got weird for me. But, you know,
Yeah.
if you have CBS All Access already and you're already paying for it, you know, it could be one of those things like you watch over the holidays when nothing else is on, and maybe it's enjoyable.
So at the risk of spoiling it, did the women kill?
Yes.
Okay. Did they kill their husbands?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Not every time. Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on to a show on Amazon called Modern Love that came out last week.
Yeah.
So you did come in. Did you see the last three?
Last 3 or 4. I don't
Okay.
remember which.
So this was 8 episodes, each a half hour long, and each a different story, and featuring different people.
Right.
And honestly, when they were advertising it and calling it Modern Love, I was like, okay, so there's just going to be like 8 stories of love stories, you know, whatever. And it wasn't. It was so different, and it was so well done. And it's exactly that. It's exactly modern love, like where you can find love in different places.
Yes. Well, in different forms or types of love.
Right. And so, you know, there's one story with Tina Fey and John Slattery, and it's about their marriage and going to counseling. And that one was a typical kind of, very modern couple who just needs to work on it. And are they going to, or are they just going to give up? A great love story with Dev Patel, and he's being interviewed by Catherine Keener, and he tells this great love story that he had with Caitlin McGee, who is a girl on Bluff City Law right now. And then Catherine Keener tells her love story with Andy Garcia, and it's kind of like, love from the past and how much you think about that, and can you change it? I think my favorite story was with Kristen Milioti and her doorman and the friendship she found in her doorman and how he protected her from dates. Like, he could tell when they just weren't good guys. She ended up getting pregnant and she goes to him first, and he helps with the baby and he helps with all this stuff. And it turns into this huge thing. And he's just like this really nice man who, sometimes you're kind of like, does he have feelings for her? Does she have feelings for him? But it never goes there. It's always just this wonderful, supportive friendship that, you wish for, you long for.
Yeah, that's what I was struck by, because I came in towards the end of that one. That's where I started. And I was struck by, when I heard the term modern love and you were talking about it, I thought it was going to be a series of romantic love stories. Right. And what became very clear is it's really way deeper than that. Right. And it's about just people you develop a strong love for very platonically sometimes. And how much they mean to your life, and the relationship between her and her doorman was probably one of the strongest relationships she'll ever have. And it was purely platonic. It was purely a deep love for each other in a non-romantic way, and it was really kind of beautiful. Right. And so this is all based off of essays. There was a series of essays in the New Yorker, or was it New York Times? I think it was the New Yorker. I could be really wrong. Anyway, it was a series of essays under the title Modern Love, and so they were just talking about people in New York telling their stories. Anne Hathaway has a wonderful story of a woman who's struggling with bipolar, and it was wonderful because she's alone and telling her story, and you see real struggles of living with bipolar and never telling anyone about it because she's a lawyer, going from job to job to job, because she is in bed for days at a time, and so she gets fired a lot and all that, but never telling anyone about what she's going through. And then she finally trusts a woman that she works with enough to tell her. And it's one of the most beautiful scenes ever, because the woman across the way just nonchalantly calls her office and says, cancel the rest of my day, and extends her hands to Anne Hathaway, who's just like crying and is so shameful of what she just revealed. And the woman's like, okay, what do you want to do? What do we want to do now? What do we want to do today? And it's just like, it's and I think that's part of the point of this, right? Is that in today's world, human connection is a lot harder to get to because of social media and dating apps and all that sort of stuff. And so just finding someone that you do have that connection with, if it's your doorman, or if it's a reporter that you happen to go deep with, or if it's, just someone at work that you reach out to, there's a story of a gay couple who's looking to adopt, and their relationship with the birth mother, which again turns out at first that's with Andrew Scott, the hot priest from Fleabag, and Moriarty. He'll always be Moriarty. Me too. Me too. And again, that change of development that they have with that birth mother is a beautiful thing. What else? John Gallagher, his story with he's like just a normal guy who admittedly says he has no game, yet he's on this date with this really gorgeous woman. She's the chick from Kingsman. Remember, with the blades on her feet? Oh wow! Yeah. No, I didn't figure that out until right then. You just said that. Yeah. Wow.
So they're on a date and they're trying to do stuff and he falls and cuts his arm up and goes to the hospital. And again, this gorgeous woman stays in the hospital. She takes care of him. She wears a literal bloody dress the entire time. I'm just like, change out of that dress.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you give a person a chance and you have that connection, what ends up happening.
Right.
And really, I think they ended on such a great...
that last episode.
So half of it is with her name is Jane Alexander. She's an older actress. Everyone will recognize her. And the guy is James Sato. He's the dad from Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
Love him. He has one of those faces where you just smile when he smiles.
Yeah, he's such a pleasant looking man.
Peaceful smile.
Yep.
He makes me feel at peace. Anyway, so then at the end, we get to this couple who's gone through their lives. They've lived, they've been married, they've lost, and they find each other and they fall in love at an older age and get married. And then he passes and it's her having to deal with that again. Here I am again, late in life. And what am I going to do? And again, she gives a great speech at the end about old love and new love or young love.
Right.
And there's not much difference between the two. Yes, they had all these experiences before they met each other, which is old love.
Yeah.
But it was still young in that they had just met each other. And so they were going through all these other things together, just like young people
do.
It was pretty beautiful. And then from there, it weaves in all the stories together at the very end for like the last 10 minutes, which again is just, I just get chills.
Yeah.
It was just really well done.
It was so perfect because, she's walking along the street and she walks past the cafe where John Gallagher and that girl were meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you see her a little further away or in a different part of town and there's another couple from a previous episode and it was just so good. That last episode was really fantastic. So I haven't seen the first 4 or 5 and I definitely want to go back and watch them because I really liked it. Was surprising.
Sat down, like we were just in the middle of a conversation or something and you sat down and I was really weirded out that you stayed because I didn't think it was going to be your thing.
I fell right into it.
Yeah.
For some reason, every once in a while, something hits me like that, and I'm just like, okay, I'm in. And then that was one of those. It was just...
I think I'd even stopped it and said, okay, do you want to watch something else? And you're like, I'm fine with this. And I was just... I was very surprised.
Yeah, because that only happens, once in a great while.
He does not pick up new shows.
Well, especially on the fly like that.
And you didn't see the ones with the people you like. You didn't see the Anne Hathaway or the Tina Fey or the Dev Patel one. Like, you didn't see the ones with the people. So I'll definitely go back and rewatch it with you.
I definitely want to watch those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is called Modern Love. It's on Amazon. Again, it's 8 episodes, half hour each. So you're talking 4 hours out of your life. You can easily get this done.
Yep.
It's so worth it. It's just stories really well told and really well written. And well done. And New York plays a whole nother role because all of these stories take place in New York. So yeah, worth it. Okay.
Whew.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
I hope I didn't tell too much about all that.
Well, there's probably a few spoilers in there, but it's still worth watching because of how they get there and the acting.
Yeah.
And it's so well done that even if we told you, scene by scene, it'd still be worth watching just because of how it plays out.
For sure. Okay. Next show I'm going to talk about is on Netflix called Living with Yourself.
Nope.
Starring Paul Rudd.
Oh, okay.
So, if anyone has ever seen Multiplicity with Michael Keaton, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it. I just love it. And the quotes galore. And anyway, where he clones himself because he's tired. And so he clones and then they make another clone and then they clone of a clone. It's hysterical. Michael Keaton, it's one of the best performances he's ever given. And I love it. So Living with Yourself with Paul Rudd is kind of the same thing. The way I described it to you was I feel like someone was watching Multiplicity and thinking too deeply about it. And they were like, this is horrifying.
Right.
If this really, why is this
a comedy. This is a horrifying thing to have happen. And so they took that and they made this more serious take on it.
Right.
So the show is still, it's in that vein where it's very dramatic, but also can be light and funny sometimes, you know, so whatever genre that is.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was pure serious, Paul Rudd would be a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's the one who keeps it light.
Well, yeah.
So the point of this one is, again, he's just in his rut of daily life, blah, blah, blah. A guy at work says, you know, I went to a spa, changed my life. Here's the information on the spa. He goes, and one of the jokes is he's sitting in the parking lot thinking, I'm not going to do this. And then Tom Brady walks out of the spa. And he goes, he's like staring at him, and Tom Brady goes, your first time? And Paul Rudd says, yeah. And Tom Brady goes, it's my 6th. And he gets out. So the funny thing is, once you know that they're being cloned, then you think, oh, Tom Brady's just being cloned over and over again. And every time they're cloned, they're refreshed. So Paul Rudd doesn't know any of this. He walks in, he pays $50,000, not knowing what he's getting out of it. He just thinks he's going to come out with, like, I think they say they're going to clean his cells or something like that. They're going to clean the inside so he feels refreshed and new and energized. And basically what they're doing, without telling these people, is they are cloning them, sending the clone off into the world and killing the original. They're literally murdering the originals. So what happens in this case for the show is the original Paul Rudd, his name is Miles actually, wakes up in a grave, in a very shallow grave in the middle of the forest, and freaks out and has to find his way home. And when he gets home, the clone Miles is there as well.
Right.
And everything ensues at that point.
Right.
So the same thing with this. It's also, I think it's 8 episodes. It could be 10, but they're half-hour episodes. I think it's 8. Goes by really fast. The way it propels forward is the end of every episode makes you want to get into the next one.
Right.
And it's all of those questions of, you know, obviously they have to struggle because now there's 2 of them. And as one of them says, you know, there's one life and there's 2 of us. So what do we do? So it's determining all of that. But then the clone who's refreshed is good at life. He's happy. He's doing great with the wife. He's doing fantastic at work. He's full of energy. He looks good. And so the original is sitting there going, what the hell?
Right.
You know, like, this sucks.
Right.
So there's just a lot of that, and a lot of the questions of, you know, would you if you could? How do you make your life better without going through something like that? You know, the wife situation is a whole big thing. And just, it always comes back to that, when you're in a rut, what do you do? How do we get into these funks? We get into these routines, you know, how can we get ourselves out? How can we make things better for us, for our partners, for our work environment, you know, all that sort of thing. It's always about that too, which is interesting. And they left it in a spot where, so sorry. They left it in a spot where there could be a second season. I'm fine if there never is. It was just fine the way it was.
Right.
Leave it alone if you want to.
Sure.
But there could be. And look, if you're a fan of Paul Rudd, and if you're not, something's really wrong with you.
I don't even want to meet you if you're not.
Then it's just worth watching. He does such a great job. You can easily tell the difference between the two. He does a great job. It's, again, the technology, I think, after Orphan Black, it's not the same that even with Multiplicity, where it's like they're looking at weird spots and all that. So it all works now.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I like the I liked the whole thing. It was very enjoyable. His wife is very cool. She's this Irish actress, and she has her own show on Netflix, and now I can't remember the name of it. But it was good. Everyone was good in it.
Right. Okay.
On Netflix, called Living with Yourself.
Very cool. So while you were talking about this, I was thinking about, this is a sidebar, right? So I was trying to picture Paul Rudd in this more serious type role than we usually see him in or something. And I was thinking, you know, because everybody loves Paul Rudd, they'll probably give it a chance even if you can't see him in the premise, right? You just give him a chance because he's so good and everybody loves him.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you know, what if they made a movie with Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves, and Paul Rudd? Would you even have to review the movie? I mean, there's nothing to critique.
Did you hear about this feud? 30-year feud between Tom Hanks and Henry Winkler?
No.
They do not like each other. They have been enemies since Turner and Hooch.
Oh, no.
I know.
Hold on.
Two of the nicest people in the world, we assume.
Well, by most accounts, this is really the first I'm hearing of Tom Hanks or Henry Winkler not getting along with someone.
Yeah. So I guess he was on Watch What Happens Live, Henry Winkler, and someone called in and asked about it. And so Henry Winkler was hired as the director of Turner and Hooch. After 13 days, he was fired. Most he's really said about it was he got along with Hooch a lot better than he got along with Turner. And I guess it's people have just known those two don't get along, which is,
my gosh,
it hurts a little,
you know? Does.
It's weird.
That starts to wobble my universe because, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to start a GoFundMe, right? We need to get these two.
I don't think money's the problem.
Well, okay, a non-financial GoFundMe, whatever.
A parent trap, and we'll get them in the same location.
Yeah,
we can parent trap them.
Yeah, we need these two to get along. I can't. I don't know that I can. I'm not sure.
He's tugging on it. He's tugging on his shorts right now, like he's having an anxiety problem.
Like Matthew Broderick with my blue blanket.
Oh no! You're invested a little bit.
This really. I don't like this.
This freaks him out.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Okay, sorry I said it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, next we got to move on. I just have some new shows now that have just started that I'm just going to talk about quickly. The second season of The Purge has started. So if anyone remembers from last year, I loved the first season. It was really cool. It was exactly what I always wanted from the movies. It was great. So here's the difference in this season, which is even better than I thought. The premise of this...
How could this get better?
The premise of this season is we came into the Purge night, for 12 hours every year. All activities are legal. So murder, theft, whatever. We came into the Purge night with about an hour left. And so we saw... 3-4 activities, people that we were introduced to. Then the Purge lifted. The rest of the season, not the rest of the season, but a lot of this season is going to be this year in between for the next Purge night. So we're seeing how the Purge affects people that went through it. So one of these was a guy who was being purged. He was being pursued. He lived. So now he's freaking out. Who wants to kill me? And in the second episode, he found out, he's on the black market as someone has put a figure on his head. He doesn't know who. So now he's got to spend the next year trying to figure out who wants to kill him.
That's interesting.
It was interesting. Another one was a kid who they were in a fraternity. They were out doing stupid stuff for their fraternity during Purge. He got caught up in a space where there was a guy killing a woman. And the guy came after him then because he got caught in the space. He flipped the switch on the person and killed that person. This kid now in college is dealing with the fact that he killed someone, but it appears he actually has kind of now a thirst for it. Like he's playing video games and it's affecting him somehow. So we're going to see throughout this year, is he going to build up and now this is going to be, can he wait the whole year? What is happening with him?
Wow.
Another one is another cool thing we saw during Purge night was this, I don't remember what it's called, but it was the police force type thing who monitors the Purge. And so they have cameras all over the place. They can see everything that's happening. And there are levels to what's actually legal and what's not. There are weapons that are illegal still during the Purge. So you can't just do whatever. So we saw them monitoring all these things. And then as soon as the Purge is finished, you have to be done. It's like the Bake Off. Hands up.
Yeah. The bell goes off and weapons down.
Right. So there was this whole crew that was robbing a bank or something. They were robbing all stuff. Well, the guy's back foot was still in the building when the sirens went off. So no good. They had to go after him and get him. You know what I mean? So it's like very much, you have to stick to the rules. But at the same time, the other crew that was robbing with him, they didn't get enough money and all this stuff. Here's the really cool thing I loved. We saw the morning after. We saw the immediately after. We saw a guy walking through the streets, and there's just dead bodies and burned buildings and all sorts of stuff, which we've never seen before in any of these movies. It always ends, when the purge lifts. We saw a cleaning crew. Imagine all these cleaning crews that have to come into houses and pick up the dead bodies and pick up and clean after all these people have killed everyone in their homes. And here's the weird thing. I was like, what are they going to do with the body? They took it, put it out on the curb next to the trash. And there's actually a dead body collection, like a trash can, that comes by and picks up the bodies. So it's all this other stuff that I had never thought about when it came to the Purge. We've gone through 3 movies and a whole 10 episodes last season. And now there's all these little nuances to it, which again,
now you're getting into the details.
It's so interesting for me, again. And so, there's things like that this season is very interesting to kind of look at what happens to people. How are you affected by this? How do you live? How do you survive? And what's going to happen by the next Purge? It's going to be interesting. The people who do this, man, it's a whole different. It's so different. But they've never, at least for me, never disappointed. I've enjoyed the movies and I enjoy the show, and now it's a big twist. So
wow.
Anyway, so we've only had 2 episodes so far. So if you missed them, go back and watch. I don't even know if it's on FXX or FX or I don't know, but you can find it.
Okay.
So that's The Purge. Another show that started this week is on Hulu called Castle Rock. We're in the 2nd season of this one. Again, if you listened last year, you can remember that I loved the first season of Castle Rock. It's the town in Maine where Shawshank is, and based on
that one
Stephen King's stories. And so last year was great. It was so weird and so different, and it was Skarsgård, the kid who plays Pennywise.
Yeah.
Is that Bill? I don't know.
Alexander?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Is it Alexander?
I thought so, but I'm far from a...
So last season was great. If you didn't watch it, here's the thing. You don't have to watch the first season to watch the second season. They're completely different stories. So if you didn't watch the first one, you can start now. I advise you to watch the first one because it was just really good. But if you just want to catch up right now and then go back and watch the first season, you can do that. So this season stars Lizzie Kaplan, and she is playing a young Annie Wilkes, who is Kathy Bates' character from Misery.
Right.
So we're back in Castle Rock. She landed there with her daughter because they had a car accident, and a lot of strange stuff still going on in the town. Tim Robbins is in this series, which is a little weird because Shawshank's right there.
Right.
Andy Dufresne had to crawl through. He had to crawl through miles of crap. What was it?
300 yards.
Yeah, thank you.
Filth I can't imagine.
And he just stayed in the town. No, he doesn't play Andy Dufresne. So he's there, and I'll tell you what, I love Lizzie Kaplan. She was fantastic in Masters of Sex. Another great show. If you never watched, go back and watch. But she is killing it, not taking over, but being the young Annie. Like, she is doing so well. She sounds just like Kathy Bates. Like I texted this to my sister. I was like, oh my God, she's being a perfect Kathy Bates. And my sister's like, that's the weirdest compliment ever, And I was like, yeah, but and she's cock-a-doodie, she's not cursing. She's got the accent. She's walking exactly right, which she doesn't walk moving her arms. And it's been real. So they released 3 episodes this week, and now there'll be 1 every week. I am in the middle of the 3rd episode. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with Tim Robbins in the town. It's kind of like he runs this town almost like a mafia head or something. Haven't quite figured all that out. And then there's the stuff with her and her daughter and what they're doing. So anyway, Castle Rock on Hulu. 2nd season. You do not have to watch the first one to get started.
Right.
Sorry, there's a dog going by. Okay. And the last thing I just want to talk about real quick, because Halloween is on Thursday. We're not ranking our top scary movies because we did that last year. Maybe we'll give it a rest and come back to it next year because There are a few that have come out since, but anyway, I just wanted to talk about the fact that this week we watched It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it's really weird. I never get him to sit down and watch a lot of these sorts of things, especially holiday related. But I threw it out. I was like, well, I taped Great Pumpkin. And you were like, yeah, let's watch that.
Yeah, so it sounded good to me when you said it. Do you want to watch this? And I'm like, yeah, let's watch this. And literally 5 seconds into it, I was instantly, I don't know, it just felt so good to be watching it. It was like a comfort, a warm blanket or something, because it was just like, oh, this is good.
Right.
Yeah.
I watch it every year, but it had been how long for you?
Oh, man, I don't even know. It had been a long time for me. I hadn't watched that in probably 25 years. And that last time was probably just accidental or something, because
wow,
I hadn't really paid attention to it since I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. It's so good. And I hadn't seen it in such a long time, and now I'm a full-blown adult. Well, I didn't want to say not just an adult,
and
but
when
I'm
you were 40, what were you, a 3/4 blown adult? I don't understand.
I was an emerging adult.
Oh, okay. Oh my
So now that I'm 50,
okay,
51, I'm
now you're full blown.
I'm full blown. Okay. Anyway, I can now say Lucy is such a bitch. I knew she was mean to Charlie Brown and pretty much everybody, but holy smokes.
Yeah, she's awful.
It was like so blatant.
Yeah.
After not seeing him for such a long time, and now, having him being a full blown adult.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, this is disturbing.
Yeah.
This is actually disturbing to watch.
I don't think kids should watch it at all, because most of those kids are all mean to Charlie Brown. I mean, you saw he gets a rock. The adults are mean to him. It's not funny. He gets a rock every time he goes to someone's house.
Yeah.
Like, people have a rock for Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and they missed it when they were writing this and performing it. They missed it because he just keeps saying the same line over and over. I got a rock. I got a rock. It should have been, oh, I got a rock. And then the next house, well, I got another rock. And then...
Yeah, I just think the other kids should have been like, oh, that's not, like today, the lesson would be, oh no, let's all give Charlie Brown some of our candy. And instead they just don't care. And they say, turn around, let's draw on your head. Like, they don't... That's so funny. Like, they
Shut up, Charlie Brown, hold still. We're drawing on the back of your head.
Yeah, they do. And it's just awful.
I know. And you would think, even for putting a lesson out there, that even if they're doing this during trick-or-treating, at the end they would say, well, here, Charlie Brown, here's some candy from me and from him and, all this stuff. And no, they never do.
No. He's always, they're all really horrible.
Just got a sack of rocks.
And they all make fun of Linus for sitting and waiting for the Great Pumpkin. Like, they're all mean kids. So,
well, they do redeem Lucy a little bit where she goes out and grabs him and throws him in bed. But,
yeah, not enough.
No, it's not enough.
She's always horrible.
Yeah, that was not enough to redeem herself.
Yeah.
And, it was just, it was good. It felt good because it's a classic
for us. But I don't know. Yeah, see, it's a weird thing where if I had kids, I would definitely show it to them because it's a classic. But I think I would also have to be like, but don't treat kids like this. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, they need to see it because it is a classic. You have to.
Yeah.
But there does need to be a discussion of, they're being mean, right?
Well, yeah, that's, and I wonder now that you say this, would it even stick out to kids nowadays?
As being mean?
Like it does to us right now.
Oh, I would hope it does. I would hope they would see this and really say, but why is she being so mean?
We never, we knew
we did.
Well, yeah, but
that was the point of Charlie Brown's existence, was that he was he could never kick the football. He could never, that was the thing, is Charlie Brown was that bald kid that got picked on. He could never win. He never got it. I don't understand why he's bald.
With that one curl of hair in front that's just crazy.
Poor thing.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, I knew they were being mean to him, but it didn't stick out to me like so blatant, or that it was that it should be such a problem.
Right.
And I just wonder if it would hit kids today the same way it hit me then, or would it really jump out at them?
I don't know.
Like it hit me now.
Like they redid the Peanuts movie a few years ago. I never watched it. I wonder. He just sniffed into the mic. I'm sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Anyway, I gotta keep going. I'd like to see that movie and see if they still basically pummel Charlie Brown to death, or if it changed a little bit and maybe he's not, because that was the point of his existence. But I don't know. Did they change it and update it for today? I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Soften up on Charlie Brown. He's obviously got it tough. I mean, he's a bald 10-year-old.
I don't think they're 10. I think they're a lot younger.
Oh, well,
I don't know. Anyway, so does this mean you'll watch the Christmas one with me?
Yes, I will watch the Christmas one.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's everything I have to talk about.
All right.
So we're going to talk about Michael Douglas in the Actors Corner. And this was, so I think I went through stages with him, where I liked everything and then I didn't like things and then I liked things again.
Okay.
So,
was it because of him or just the subject matter? Because I can understand that based on subject matter. Because he did some pretty, like lately he's done more comedies and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But he had a stretch there in the 80s where he did a lot of, the Fatal Attractions and the Basic Instincts and stuff like that. That was pretty serious and heavy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Movies you love.
Okay. I narrowed it down to 3.
Okay.
So for me, Michael Douglas has a lot of movies that I like.
Okay.
Right. I could have had probably 15 movies between love and like, but I narrowed it down to 3. So Wall Street, it's just a classic. That's one of the first things I think I really paid attention to him in.
Okay.
I like it for a lot of reasons. The Game. I really love that movie.
I don't think I ever, if I saw it, I don't remember it.
The dynamic between him and Sean Penn, who plays his younger brother.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
It was, and the premise of it was just, at the time, was really interesting and fresh.
Yeah.
Right? And then Las Vegas. Yeah.
I put that under Secretly Love.
I understand. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. So he won Best Actor for Wall Street.
Yeah.
Which I get. It didn't make my list. But at the time, it was a wonderful movie, and I liked it. Now that I'm an adult, I don't like those kind of people, so I don't want to watch Gordon Gekko anymore.
Okay.
But never saw The Game. But Las Vegas, I wish they had done another one.
I know. I know.
It just the 4 of them, him, Kevin Kline, Morgan Freeman, and who was the other?
Robert De Niro.
It was?
Yeah.
Why isn't that? I'm trying to put him into that.
Yeah, don't you remember he's the one who never wants to go to dinner and he's always...
Yeah, that was him?
Yes.
Wow. I'm losing my mind.
That's okay.
So, yeah, I thought that was a really great movie and I enjoyed all 4 of them together.
Yeah, I mean, it was a perfect mix for me.
Yeah.
For that movie, that was 4 perfect guys to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I have Romancing the Stone. I don't know why, but in my family, this movie is a huge deal. I can't explain it. Since the day it came out, we still quote this movie anytime we get together. It's silly. I don't know why, but it is a staple in my life.
Okay.
So I have to put it on there.
Okay.
And it's a fun movie. And him and Kathleen Turner's so sexy in it. And Danny DeVito's so funny.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
The American President.
Yep.
Again, Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
He's never going to make our hate list around here. So, he was great. Annette Bening was great.
Yeah. Martin Sheen was great.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
And then my third one, The War of the Roses.
Yeah.
That one I love more than Romancing the Stone, between him and Kathleen Turner and Danny DeVito. I love The War of the Roses.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I love their fights. I love at the last shot when they've crashed from the chandelier and they're dying, and he reaches over and puts his hand on her shoulder, that her last move is to reach up and swat it off of her. It is the best. Yep. I just love it. So those are my 3.
Totally agree. Okay, so movie or series I like. I have 3. Again, got it down to 3. Fatal Attraction.
Okay.
Which was a tough one for me because I don't typically like these kinds of movies where it's all drama and tension.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of laughs in this. So, but it was so well done.
Yeah.
And obviously gave us a lot of, quotes and stuff. Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Yes.
I think he was great in that role.
Yes.
And I put The War of the Roses in my like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for my likes, I have the Ant-Mans. But they're not going to do a third one, but he is coming back to be in the Disney Plus series What If, which looks at Marvel characters and says, what if this character was this person or this person was that character? So it's going to be interesting to see what he's doing in that.
Okay.
So love those movies. A Perfect Murder with him and Gwyneth Paltrow. I will always stop and watch that movie.
Sure.
It's just well done. And it unfolds, and every time I watch it, I'm still on the edge of my seat, even though it's been 100 times.
I think that's the only thing I've really ever liked Viggo Mortensen in.
Oh,
yeah. And I haven't seen a lot of his other stuff.
Yeah,
but that combination, those 3, is just, and the premise and the way the clever way they did it was just, it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my third is, it's kind of weird, but his show on now, The Kaminsky Method. The second season just started yesterday. The first season, I watched it through. I enjoyed it. I believe it's more Alan Arkin's vehicle than his. Unfortunately, Michael Douglas won the Golden Globe for this. Alan Arkin was nominated but did not win. I love Alan Arkin in this show. I enjoy the show. And I'll tell you, I got through 3 episodes of the second season last night. Second season's much better so far. But it's to me, what I want to say is it's the male answer to Grace and Frankie. So I don't find it as entertaining probably because I'm a female and it's a little too male centric for me, old white men sitting around complaining, but it is enjoyable. I do laugh out loud sometimes. And he is good in it, but I really do like it for Alan Arkin more. Okay. Movies you hate.
Oh, well, so there's only one, and I think it's probably just a dislike more than hate. It's You, Me, and Dupree. I didn't care for that movie at all.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I really didn't. It seemed like it was always trying too hard to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I like Owen Wilson. I like Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
Okay. And Kate Hudson. But it didn't work for me.
Okay. I didn't have anything that I came up with in this category. I've kind of just always liked everything, and if I haven't seen it, there's a reason. Yeah. So that's kind of all I could put there.
Yeah, okay.
Secretly Love.
This is where I put The American President.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the movie, and I could have had it in my love, but
yeah,
I had to put something here, and that was one that, if it's on, I'll watch it.
Right.
But I don't often talk to people about it, because it's just one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
That was it?
Yeah.
So I had Las Vegas here.
Okay.
And Falling Down.
So here's the thing. I get it. I wanted to put that somewhere.
Yeah.
And I couldn't because of the subject matter. I couldn't figure out where to put it because I didn't want to glorify it.
Oh, why not? All of us have been pissed off and said, screw this day.
But then he goes and kills people. So I know it's weird, but I totally get it because I liked that movie and I felt oogie about it.
Oh, I don't at all. Because I think we all get it. We all have watched, been stuck in traffic and like, screw this. And he just leaves his car and takes off. And then every other thing that annoys the crap out of you. Yeah. Does it go to an extreme? But sure, we've all been there. And in the beginning, we're just cheering him on because, Yeah, screw life.
If I was in McDonald's at 10:35 and they said no, we stopped at 10:30 and I had a gun, I don't know what would happen. But, so yeah, I get it, but it just it was a tough one for me.
Yeah,
and that's just my sensibilities,
right?
So.
Okay, embarrassed you haven't seen
Romancing the Stone. Yeah.
See, how are we married?
I don't know. I understand it's a family classic for you, but apparently that wasn't part of the application process for marrying into your family. So,
gosh, and I don't know if you would like it. Honestly,
well,
it's an adventure movie.
Yeah, which is fine. And here's the other thing: when I was, I knew it, but I guess I didn't really realize it that he and Kathleen Turner did so many movies together in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, and she's in the second season of Kominsky Method. She's playing his ex-wife.
Oh, that's
so she
great.
was in an episode last night,
That's
and
great.
I was like, oh, that makes me smile.
Yeah, good for
her. Okay, so I have two here. First, Behind the Candelabra, the HBO movie where he played Liberace. Yeah. I still have never watched it.
Right.
And I feel bad about it, but now I'm not sure I will. And I don't know if this is true or not, that I haven't seen it, but I couldn't tell you the premise. Basic Instinct.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I saw it as a kid when it came out, which probably shouldn't have, but look, I saw all these movies as a kid.
Sure.
So, but I don't know, like, did she kill someone with an ice pick or something?
Yeah.
And see,
and he's a detective.
Yeah, right? I know that. I mean, and of course you know the scene, but I don't know how it turns out, or I don't remember. I don't know. So I just put that here because honestly, I think that would be embarrassing if I had to talk to someone about that movie. I wouldn't know enough about it. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Adding to your watch list?
Traffic.
You never saw Traffic?
I never saw Traffic. And every time we talk about somebody in it, I mean, I don't know.
Everyone's in it.
Well, we haven't. So I remember distinctly I don't think we did him as an actor, but we were talking about Benicio del Toro at one point, and you said, you got to see Traffic. And I'm like, okay. And then ever since, I mean, there's a lot of people in it, right?
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about one of those people, the topic of, or the thought of watching Traffic comes up, and it's like, all right, it's probably gained critical mass for me. I should just watch it.
Yeah. So Michael Douglas was a producer before he really got into acting. I mean, I guess he had been acting for a while, but he produced One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which he got the Oscar for Best Picture for that one.
Oh, okay.
He produced The China Syndrome. Like he really got. I think he did a smart thing with his dad. And he started producing first. You know. Kind of staying low key with the acting, and then got into the acting big time. So.
Yeah, I mean, if your parent is one of the
Spartacus
is one of the all times, right? And you have any doubt or any you're not ready to take on that kind of scrutiny. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
right. Is start producing and then ease into it.
Right. I just taped a thing, I think Diane Sawyer, was it Diane Sawyer? This week they had a Douglas Dynasty thing on because, Michael's son got out of prison recently. And so I think they talked to all of them about being in the family and that sort of stuff. Right. But I haven't watched it yet. So I do have some honorable mentions, of course, for Michael Douglas.
This is probably going to take a while.
So Jewel the Nile was the sequel, quote unquote, to Romancing the Stone.
Right.
It was not very good. I don't advise it. For me, A Chorus Line, he's the director, so he's pretty much just the voice in the audience, but for me, it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
I did put Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, Black Rain. I thought it was good. Disclosure. I love Disclosure. Him and Demi Moore.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to picture it.
Yeah. Wonder Boys, Traffic, You Mean Dupree, Ghost Girlfriend's Past. And his episode of Will and Grace is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
He plays the detective who's gay and meets and tries to pick up Will, but he has an issue with people getting stuff stuck in their teeth.
Yep.
It's just one of those. It's such a great episode. So anyway, that's everything I think we have this week.
Okay.
I will be talking more about the Kominsky Method next week when I've finished this whole season. So, so we'll be talking about that.
Okay.
I think that's everything.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. We will talk to you guys next week. Until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.